I have to say that over the last 10 years, maybe even slightly longer, there's been a big push and a big surge of interest for the topic of bugging out. You have a whole industry really set up on the contingencies of egress. And it's like the bug out bag. They have bug out vehicles, and including like bicycles. And you have all kinds of very specific bug out gear, bug out cache systems. There's pre-made cabins, bug out locations. And of course you have your bug out buddies that you would meet up with on your way to your bug out location. And so you have all this bug out this and a bug out that plan. But what about the plans, and what about the whole concept of bugging in? This gets ignored, and you rarely hear about it. It's out there, but you actually have to kind of look for it. We've talked about this briefly on the channel over the last couple of years, but let's go ahead and just focus on it right now. Now, to bug in, you're going to be self-reliant for the most part. You're going to pretty much shelter in place. Now, sheltering in place has different meanings depending on different scenarios. So in a generic sense, it's a type or form of sheltering in place. So if you're at home, for example, and that would probably be the most ideal location to bug in, because, if you have all your supplies, then there it is. And that's pretty much the next part here is, do you have everything you need? And of course, I don't know what you really need. Only you know what you need. Now, we all need certain things, though, universally, like water and food, the means to protect ourselves, some first aid, and so forth. But there may be specialized items that only you would know. And when we talk about bugging in, do you have a flexible system to kind of mitigate the threats that could be presented? Do you have the means to mitigate with the threats in your area at least? And that's something that if you don't know what they are, you want to check into those. But you want to kind of figure out as well, how long do you want to be able to, endure? Do you want to be able to bug in and shelter in place for 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, a year? You're going to need a timetable, and you're going to need to see, do you have in each category enough to get you to that time period? And I can tell you that a lot of people think they have pretty much more than what they really have. For example, if you have a homestead, and let's just say that it's in the middle of winter and there's a grid down scenario and there may be another threat and it forces you to bug in and you're sheltering on your property, well, you may have to be fairly physical, do a lot of manual tasks to be safe. You may have to cut firewood. You may have to do various things. And so, do you have enough calories? Do you have enough food? If you get injured, like a severe injury, or you get really sick, do you really have the medicine for it? Do you have antibiotics? Do you have, bandages, trauma type of supplies? And so the more we look into bugging in, it's really more of an inventory of not only what we have in terms of supplies, but it's also about how much we know. What is it that we actually have in our arsenal of skills? How many people can we rely on? And of course, what about our neighbors? A lot of us actually have neighbors that are somewhat close to us. Even in a more rural area, I have neighbors that I could easily walk over to their house. But does it mean, though, that I want to have relations with them? Some of my neighbors, I don't want to have anything to do with them. Others, I wouldn't be, hesitant to develop a relationship. And the relationship that I'm talking about is an understanding that if there's a problem, that, you'll be there to help them and they'll be there to help you. It'll be a mutual response. In a lot of various emergency departments, they call that mutual aid. And you want to have some type of system of mutual aid set up in your neighborhood even. Not just among just your closest neighbor, but you want to have some type of at least communication going on that bad things happen, we can help each other. Now, going back though to the essence of bugging in and just trying to be a self-contained island among yourselves, just you and your family, if you will, that is pretty difficult, and it can take a little while to develop the mind frame to be okay with having to bug in, and skills and knowledge to be comfortable with all this. And of course, lastly, all the supplies you need to really weather that time period, in a very safe manner. So I invite you though to see how safe you really are if you were to, forced into this situation, that if you had to close your doors, let's just use a reasonable time frame, 2 to 3 weeks, let's just say. Could you literally just lock your front door or lock yourself in your house and not step out for 2 to 3 weeks or even a month? Could you really do that? Do you have a system in play? And does your system include, if some of the utilities don't work, maybe your water doesn't work, maybe you have no power, maybe you have no, sewer that's active, maybe you have some problems there. So what happens if you have no utilities working? Can you still lock yourself in your house and be able to manage what comes about? So I would love to hear your thoughts on bugging in, and also how much you think that bugging out is overrated. I think bugging out is overrated quite a bit. It's necessary. We should definitely have a bug out bag, but we should also have a lot more systems in play and a lot more time and focus involved in our bug in planning and systems than anything else. And so, this is a topic that we could talk about for hours. And if anybody has a very specific aspect of bugging in that they want to talk about, feel free to leave it in the comment section, and I'll consider it, and we'll see if we can't add that to one of the upcoming videos. Just want to thank everyone for watching this video and for the various ideas. I really do appreciate everyone's input. And hey, you guys stay safe. Catch you later.